Well, it's a pretty nice day today. Last night we had the windows open, door open. It was downright chilly when I woke up this morning. I had to put my sweatshirt on. So it's the temperature's starting to cool off already, and it's not even mid-August yet. The Farmer's Almanac is saying this is going to be a terrible winter. Lots of snow, lots of cold. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I don't know, there's just something romantic, I guess, for lack of a better word, about sitting by that wood stove. Or I like going to sleep in front of the wood stove. I tell you, coming out in these woods, sometimes it's still hard to imagine that this is mine. May not be much longer from what I hear though. So I'm sure you have heard that our former president has his home was raided by the FBI. I'm not big on talking about politics on this channel. I mean, I've talked about them a few times maybe. I'm not sure I have. I think people would probably be able to guess which way I lean, but that's not because I say anything derogatory or positive about either party. I said a while back, made a video where I was talking about the FBI is coming to the state of Missouri, to a variety of counties in this area, to look for CCW, conceal and carry weapons permits, at the local sheriff's office. And our sheriff sent out a letter talking about how they weren't going to comply. Talked about the ATF going to different homes and looking for straw purchases, asking the homeowners for their weapons, seeing if they could verify the serial numbers, make sure they still have the right firearms. It seems like they're ramping up their efforts, the FBI, the ATF. I don't want to say go after people, but it sure does seem like what it is. They're weaponizing the federal agencies, law enforcement agencies, to see if they can get somebody to slip up. I used to work in a sheltered workshop. Now, sheltered workshop hires disabled people to teach them how to work in a manufacturing environment. I worked for 4 of them actually. One of them had 2 different buildings in 2 different towns. So I worked for the same company, but worked in both buildings. And my job was to teach them how to perform tasks in a manufacturing environment, assembly lines, piecework. Now, some of them will never be able to achieve going out into the real workforce where they can work on their own, but there was several that I was just so proud that finally got to a level where they could go out and get a regular job, get off disability, and make a real good wage. One guy ended up being able to buy a home and a car. Another guy, same way. I never expected him to make it, and he had a wife and a kid and a beautiful home, better home than I've ever had. It was beautiful. So it was a real inspiring job. Problem is the federal government didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Now, this was 2 administrations ago. They sent out the Department of Labor to see if we were underpaying or doing anything wrong. Now, we hadn't been audited in years. The last audit we got passed with flying colors. No laws had been changed. And then this lady comes out and she says, my boss told me to find a problem. And they did. They found problems that were not problems. I mean, we had to know the law. We had to. That was our job, to know the law. So we made sure that these folks were being paid. We were not there to make a fortune. It was a nonprofit. Our job was to give these guys an opportunity in life. And the federal government didn't like it. So they came out and fined us, I don't know, a few $100,000. Well, of course, we hired a lawyer. By the time the next administration got in, they dropped the fines, came out, re-audited us, said, oh, no, you're doing fine. So just in one administration, things had changed that fast where they're saying, no, you didn't violate any laws. So they do try to trump up things. And the goal was to shut us down. We weren't a profitable company. It's not like we had tons of money in reserves. All the managers barely made an income that was above poverty line. So, I mean, it wasn't like we were all getting rich from this place. It was a job of passion, actually. The supervisors that went out and actually did all the training, I was a manager, they literally did all the training, got paid minimum wage. Some of the folks that were being trained actually got paid better than our supervisors did. So I feel like we did a great job, but they wanted to shut us down. Well, I feel like that's the way things are right now. They're wanting to shut everything down. Everything they don't like, they want control over. They don't like guns, so they're going to send FBI agents out to the state of Missouri. They don't like people buying more than one gun at a time, which is not illegal. So they come out to your home without a warrant, harass you, intimidate you, to see if they can find something on you. And now the FBI is being used to hunt down former presidents. And I don't know, I mean, I seriously doubt he did anything wrong, but let's assume that he did. What's the difference between him doing something wrong and all the former presidents that have done something wrong? Vice presidents, presidents' wives, senators, and none of them go to jail. None of them get their houses busted into. There's just a lot of things going on that just seem strange right now. Well, now they just passed a bill and they're going to hire 87,000 IRS agents. Now, you would think, an IRS agent? Why do we need 87,000? Well, they want to increase audits. Okay, who are they going to increase audits on? Well, not the rich. They're not going to go after the rich. They got plenty of auditors for the rich. Who are they going to come after? Middle class. The thing that bothers me is they're not hiring accountants. They're hiring agents. I just found out that a few years ago, the IRS spent $500 million buying bullets, ammunition. Why are accountants carrying guns? I mean, that just sounds strange to me. Well, they just recently made another large purchase of ammunition. Now this bill is going to hire 87,000 more. Now, my understanding, what they try to do is they try to intimidate you into paying a tax bill. What they want to do, it sounds like, is they're going to send out letters. I had the highest tax bill I think I've ever had, and I don't make much money. I really don't make a lot at all. This is the least amount of money that I've ever made in my life this last year. And I had an enormous tax bill. I have to pay taxes quarterly. Every quarter, I got to pay for the next year. So I got slammed with this huge tax bill. And then every 3 months, I got to pay a quarter of what I paid last year. And it's taken everything that we've made. And I've not done anything wrong. I've been honest with all my taxes, just didn't have a lot of write-offs. And so they just nailed us. Well, what they want to do is they want to send me out a letter, or you or anybody, and say, you owe $10,000 in taxes. They don't have to be right. You're like, oh my gosh, $10,000, what do I do? So what they'll do is you call them up and they'll say, well, I understand you're disputing this. I guess we can come out and audit you. But if we audit you, it could end up being more than $10,000. Oh no, I don't want to audit. I can't afford the $10,000. Is there anything I can do? Tell you what, we'll settle this for $1,000. You pay it right now over the phone. Give me your card information, and we'll get this settled up right now. So you're scrambling with the credit card, the one that has the most money on it, or you'll have 10 credit cards. Well, I got 10 credit cards. Take 500 from this one and 200 from this one, and so now you're paying interest on a bill you may not have owed. So they're going to try to intimidate you into paying $1,000. Well, if they can get 200,000 people to do that, that pays for this new infrastructure bill, right? I don't know if it pays for it, but it sure put a nice hunk into it. What is it, $80 billion? I don't know. So that, I think, is what their plan is. They kind of discuss this kind of openly. So it's not really that they're going to tax you. They're just going to get you to send more money in. What really baffles me is they're going to spend, I don't know, several $1 billion to hire more agents to collect more money. It costs me money to send people out to take my money. So I want to prepare everybody. I've been saying this for a while, that they're going to come. They're going to do whatever they can to get money from you, take your firearms away. And I'm not trying to be paranoid or scaremonger you. This is what's in the bills. This is what they have openly discussed. You can't have a country going bankrupt. Trillions of dollars in debt. I mean, if you think about this, seriously think about it. There's 300 million people in the country. How do you pay, I don't even know what it is, what, 26 trillion dollars? How does 300 million people pay for that much money? They can't. We're in over our head. So in order to keep this country from going bankrupt, government's got to get bigger. And they got to come after you to get more money. Well, how do they do that? Inflation. Inflation's a hidden tax. If they're printing out money, making the dollar less valuable, then your dollars become less. That means you got to spend more. It's a hidden tax. And then they're just going to take money from you. They're going to get you to voluntarily send them money. They're going to come out and do audits. They're going to come out to your door and see if you're making straw purchases if you buy more than one gun. These people, you have to understand, they have a job. They have millions of people working for the federal government. I don't know how many people. Let's just call it millions of people working for the federal government with nothing to do. So they sit around trying to come up with things to do. What can we do? Oh, I got an idea. Let's send out a letter to everybody. So that gives everybody a job to do for 2 or 3 months. They send out letters to everybody. You owe $10,000 in back taxes. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Well, just send us 1,000. We'll settle it. So I gave 87,000 new IRS employees something to do. This isn't even a conspiracy theory. This is what they're saying they're going to do. The reason I started this video out with our former president, the FBI raided his home, not for a political reason, but to get you to start thinking that this opens the door. If they can do it to a former president, they can do it to anybody. If they can get a warrant trumped up on something, they can get a warrant for anything. So, not that living off grid is a big asset to avoiding all this, but if you can get yourself away from public as much as possible, which is pretty hard to do when there's so many people, but if you can get away, disconnect from the electric grid, from the water grid, so people don't notice you quite as much as they do otherwise. I mean, I'm on YouTube, that's my biggest downfall, but I have no debt, nobody cares what I do. Maybe I can avoid some of the issues. Maybe I can avoid the IRS coming out because it's like, oh man, look at that little house he's got. He lives in a little shack. I'm not going to bother him. So if you'll click on one of these videos, I'd appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to get away from it so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.